right, everybody. I hope that you are doing well. I'm a few minutes late, and so I apologize for that. I was out looking for a cat, and I didn't find him. So when I finish this, I'll be out looking again for another for the cat. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, Keep your fingers crossed. Hi, Diamond Paw. Hey, Skitty Nona. How are you guys doing? Yeah, so this is going to kind of be a long, well, maybe not really long, but a little bit, because there's a lot of information. People in this area have been paying attention to, the happy face or the smiley face murders, and the fact that, there are a lot of people in Texas that fear that this murderer or this group of murderers, that maybe they have now found their way to Texas. Now, am I a big believer that we have a serial killer in Texas? I haven't come up, I don't know yet. I don't have, I haven't come to a consensus just yet. I'm still I'm still formulating my opinion on the whole thing. But one thing is for sure, it's not as clear cut as it looks. There are a lot of this whole labeling thing that has happened, whether they use happy face killer or smiley face killer. It's actually a lot of different historical murders that have all kind of gotten grouped underneath this tag. And so I thought, I think the first step is, I think I'll just start out talking about the history of this moniker, happy face killer, or smiley face, and just kind of go from there, because it is a lot of information spanning many years. So in the 1990s, there were a trail of bodies that were left by a guy. His name's Keith Hunter Jesperson, and he got the name Smiley Face Killer. There's another, or I'm sorry, the happy face killer. Now there's the smiley face killer. And the smiley face killer, or should be more appropriately named plural, smiley face killers, is floated by basically 3 retired law enforcement officials who go around and they do cold case investigation. And as a result of this wide arena of awareness and knowledge about many deaths that all shared very similar facts, and they went back and they worked with the families, and they either took old autopsy information, blood tests and whatnot, or in some cases had bodies exhumed so they could do a proper autopsy, and made some connections, and they began to realize, hey, we've got some problems here. That it does look like these cases seem to be really connected. Now, in the case of happy face killer Keith Jesperson, he was a divorced father, and he drove a truck. And between 1990 and 1995, he killed 8 women. So he strangled them. He dumped them along, the Oregon or California road. He did. There was a woman that escaped, although she didn't really see him clearly enough. But ultimately, so in the case of the happy face killer, he was caught. He's serving time in jail. And all of his victims were female. But in the case of the smiley face killer, and that's really what people are talking about related to what's going on around Austin, Texas right now. And we actually have We actually have the same type of phenomenon happening in Galveston County, that we have had some bodies, disappearances that have shown up later in water. Now, that's pretty general, okay? It's pretty general. For example, if somebody gets very drunk or they take, let's say, fentanyl, some kind of drug, and they lose consciousness and fall in water, then they're going to drown. It's not the work of a serial killer. It's the work of a drug and being in the wrong place at the wrong time, correct? But the similarities for Smiley Face is a bit chilling when you look at what's happened in Austin just since March into April of this year. And that doesn't count 10 other deaths going back about 3 or 4 years. So it's a bit uncomfortable, but it's an even more chilling theory that has been put forth by New York police detectives Kevin Gannon, Michael Donovan, Anthony Duarte, and then Dr. Lee Gilbertson, who is a professor of criminal justice. This is the group of men who got together and noticed similarities among white, middle-class, young professional men who seemed to share the factor that they went out for what was a good night, maybe to go drinking, maybe to go to a sporting event, and then mysteriously show up dead, sometimes 24 hours later, sometimes 77 days later, and they show up dead and they're found in a body of water. And the circumstances between them being found dead in the water and where they went missing doesn't match. That even though the cops say, oh, well, he probably made his way down to the river and he was drunk and he fell in and he drowned. In one particular case, this was in Chicago, the guy he was very drunk. They tested his spleen and found out that he actually had been given GHB, a date rape drug, but that he would have had to have crossed what amounted to 7 lanes of traffic, hard Chicago metropolitan traffic. And the only other way across all those lanes of traffic would have been to walk down the street, go to an underground walkway, up the other side, and then back up, and then fall in the river, or in Lake Michigan. And everybody could see that he was very impaired, and nobody believes that he could have possibly have made that walk. So the Smiley Face Killers, as discussed by Kevin Gannon, Michael Donovan, and Anthony Duarte, the Smiley Face Killers really kind of started, or killings started somewhere in the late 1990s, within a few years of the year 2000. They believe that there are possibly hundreds of college-age men, mid-20s, early 30s, who have died and then were discovered as a result of accidental drownings. And to date, they believe this has happened in 25 cities in 11 states. Now, obviously, some of these deaths could be accidental, there's no doubt. But when you look at the victim profiles of many of these guys, it's almost uncanny. And to see their pictures, it starts to take on the flavor of a serial killer. Many of these men look very similar. And that is the case, actually, with what's going on right now in Austin. 3 of the 4, now there's a possible 5th victim that emerged, not dumped in water, but only 9 miles from Rainey Street. I'll talk about that in a minute. But those 4 out of the 5 They have the same physical appearance, same age group, all down on Rainy Street right before they went missing. It's very strange. So, all of the victims in the Smiley Face Killer theory, all of these victims are college-age students, young adult, young professionals, and or accomplished athletes. The victims are always found either near or in water, and nearly always they have been able to find spray painted graffiti that was that of a smiley face. Many of the smiley faces, the eyes are not dots, they're up and down lines like the letter I. And in several instances, there were stars that were spray painted above the smiley face that indicated what the number of the killing would be. So the third young man found, there was a smiley face with 3 stars found by it. With the 5th young man that was found, they found the smiley face and had the 5 stars beside it. One young man was taken out the back of a bar. He basically was found in the creek behind the bar, even though that area had been well searched the day after he went missing. He was not in the water. They know he wasn't. And then 3 days later, he shows up right behind the bar. So in many of these cases, it does look like someone takes them, holds them from anywhere between 3 days and 77 days in one circumstance, and then takes them back to the original location or close to the original location and dumps them in the water or close by the water. Some of the smiley faces had horns. And in the case of the young man that was found behind the bar, in the creek that was back behind the bar, they actually found the smiley face spray painted inside of the bar. It's pretty, chilling. So to now, the 5 states involved have been Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Iowa. And there is a lot of talk, and the police in Austin are not happy with this talk. In fact, the chief of police came out today, gave a harsh statement, and he said, y'all got to stop this nonsense about Austin has a serial killer. But listen, all of the cities said that. All of the cities said, no, we don't have a serial killer, because having a serial killer can really affect the local economy for where, this is happening. So towns don't want to have a serial killer, and Austin's no different. And so their chief of police has, he's been very vocal saying that's not what's happening here. So the smiley face killer is ongoing, but the happy face killer, Jesperson, who killed all the women, well, he's been found guilty. He's got multiple life sentences, and he's serving out his time in the Oregon State prison. So the Smiley Face Killer, there's a 2020 horror movie based on the theory that was that it has been supported by these law enforcement officers. It wasn't really a very good one. And more important, there is currently a documentary that is playing on Netflix about the Smiley Face Killer, not Happy Face Killer. Okay? The Smiley Face Killer. It is a great documentary. I watch a lot of these true crime documentaries. I'm not always very impressed, but the one that we've got right now on the Smiley Face Killers, it is very good. So we have dozens, if not hundreds, of local men killed in these 5 states, and they all have GHB in their system. They seem to go missing for a day or more. And then when ultimately they are found, they're located in a body of water, which basically, can eradicate DNA and other, pieces of evidence. But what's going on in Texas right now is quite interesting. There have been a series of men found in downtown Austin. They're all the same age as those men found in the other 5 states. And they're all being found in or near the same body of water. But as I said, Austin Police Chief Joseph Chacon said, no, 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 these are accidents, suicides, if you will. The families, however, are saying a different story. That their young men are young professionals, they have great jobs, they're very happy. And one of the themes that you continue to hear, not in every one of the situations, but in most, or in many of them, I guess it's better to say many, they do believe, or the families have reported, that the young men may have been homosexual or bisexual. Not in all the cases. Not in all the cases. But one thing is for sure, they're nearly all very attractive. They're very attractive. As I said, they're athletic, they're smart, they're successful in either school. In many cases, they were on the dean's list, or they were athletes. They were playing for college or planning, hoping to play professional ball. So it's very interesting, the pattern that's emerging. But again, police don't want to deal with the story of a serial killer, in their town, right? So 3 of the 5 in recent days, in April, basically, I believe there's one in March and then the rest from April. So over the last several weeks, 3 of the 5 were actually found in the water, but within, a mile of Rainey Street. They had all been on Rainey Street just hours before they went missing. And then there was a 4th body that was located, yes, downriver, but still had been to Rainey Street. And they believe now that perhaps he had been dumped in the water and his body traveled toward the dam, floating toward the dam. The chief said, and I quote, "Nothing has come to light that would indicate that there's a serial killer in Austin. But those of us that have been watching the documentary about these, 3 law enforcement and the professor of criminal justice, it's hard to ignore the similarities. These men look alike. They have very similar backgrounds, and the location of the death or finding the body is so similar." The police they are concerned about what's happened because they have really adjusted how they're working. They've doubled their police presence on Rainey Street this past weekend. They've made sure that they were in uniform and very visually apparent for anybody that was there. And not only did they put up park ranger patrol or increased park ranger patrols, but they actually installed high temporary fencing to try to cut off access to the water. They don't want a serial killer in Austin. The Austin police have said that they have not uncovered any evidence of foul play, but privately, off the record, police officers are saying that the deaths are incredibly similar. The number of bodies that have been found so close together in Austin match other locations. Jonathan Honey, whose body was found in the Lady Bird Lake in Austin, he was found April the 1st of 2023. He was found a block and a half from Rainey Strip, and the location where his body was found would have required that he climb a fence and head down a trail. And the word was that he was quite intoxicated, and it wasn't likely he would have been able to do that. John Christopher Hayes Clark, 30 years old, he was identified last week. It was his body that was found 2 miles down the river near the dam. And he was, again, another one, very close to Rainy Street. And they think that perhaps he was actually put in the water further up, closer to where all the other bodies were found. And his body managed to float, the furthest down. He was found February of 2023. Jason John, another 30-year-old. Sorry about that. Jason John, another 30-year-old. He was found the first week of April. I'm sorry. He was found the second week of February in the water near Rainy Street. Clifton Axtell, 40 years old, was found on March the 5th. And Jonathan Honey then was found on April the 1st. And it was, I believe, let me make sure I got all of those. Yeah, they were all overdosed on drugs. Now, the off-the-record cop said that the victims died as a result of overdose of drugs that were used to incapacitate them. Now, I ask you guys this. You're part of the true crime community. Why do the cops want to say that there isn't anything that looks suspicious when you've got 5 young men that all died within, basically a few months or weeks within each other? Some of them died in the same week, all on Rainy Street, all overdosed on date rape drugs, all dumped in water. Why are they saying it's not suspicious? And if you watch the documentary that shows what happened in Indiana, Wisconsin, the other 3, it's exactly what those law enforcement are investigating. So it is quite eerie. There's no question about it. Now, we have a recent man that was found, Joel DeRusha, and he was reported independently. Hold on, let me find. I pulled it up, and it's so eerie how they all look the same. Okay, so he is very athletic. Joel DeRusha was very athletic. He was missing for several days, just like the others, and he was later found. He was not found in water. He was found at the 500 block of Thompson Lane. However, he too had GHB discovered in his body. The location of his body was approximately 9 miles from Rainy Street, and as stated, he was not in or near water as the others. But remember what I said, the cops went in there last week and they put up fencing to block access to the water. Again, the police are saying they have found no signs of foul play. It seems so odd to me. It seems so strange. And Joel went missing Thursday night, April the 20th. He was last seen at 4 a.m. in Austin near Rainy Street. It was discovered that he had left his vehicle unattended. His phone, his keys, his wallet, and his money were all left inside the car. So that sort of suggests that he was incapacitated. Somebody took him. He had several tattoos, including a Zelda symbol on his neck, a hot air balloon tattoo on his left side, and a robot tattoo on one of his forearms. He had thick, wavy hair, and when he went, he was wearing when he was found, he was wearing clothes that were not able to be identified as his own clothes. Okay, so I believe he was the new, oh wait. Yeah, he was he was the latest one to be found. Yeah, he went missing. Oh no, this is a different one. He went missing April 31st. I'm sorry. He was last seen March the 31st and he was found April 3rd. That is number 6. That's the 6th man. So it's pretty chilling. And this guy, they don't give a name for him. I don't know, maybe if he's unidentified, or it says a 22-year-old man was discovered dead on Cedar River riverbank Tuesday morning. For some reason they're keeping this man's name out of the newspaper. Oh, here's why. They're saying, as evidenced by the scene, Austin Police Department believed this was a suicide. Huh. Okay, so maybe that wasn't one of the group, but they don't give his name, so it's hard to research it. But even the ones that they've given the name, they've put up pictures. It's pretty uncanny. It's a little disconcerting. So whether or not it is all connected, I think that when you compare, yeah, exactly, big ups. That it's exactly right. Yes. Well, no, I don't think JJ had GHB. He had hydrocodone, right? No, 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 no. It wasn't. No, no, no. It wasn't JJ had hydrocodone. It was Gannon Stout. That Letitia Stout gave him hydrocodone. Maybe she was trying to kill him with it and it didn't work, but not JJ. I don't know why I said JJ. So yeah. So many of these young men have GHB or other type of date rape drug. Many of them were overdosed, believed to have died from it, and these were good young men. These were not. Wait a minute, hybrid Pisces. I know hybrid. I'm. So y'all are telling me that JJ Vallow had GHB in his system? How in the world did I miss that? We got zombies and vampires. The craziest thing. Oh my God, hybrid Pisces. Oh my word. Oh. I mean, it just never quits, does it? The level of evil is incredible. Wow, that's so sad. So sad. Yeah, I haven't listened to the audio yet, hybrid. Yep. So I'm gonna do that when I finish up here. So the Smiley Face Killer. Even though this group of detectives, law enforcement men, they concocted the theory that it was not one killer, that it appears to be a group of killers that are in contact, perhaps through the internet, and they are sharing stories of their conquest, that they're intentionally making the murders look the similar the same, perhaps to confuse the cops. Perhaps it's a narcissistic game. Perhaps it's just part of a game that the killers themselves are involved in. Or perhaps there's something a bit more nefarious about it. But the group that is being targeted, the victims themselves, are that's a big clue, because they are typically people that are very low in terms of engaging in behaviors that would make them victims. So the net effect of all of it, young professionals or accomplished athletes, high performing students, end up with high levels of GHB. They go missing for 3 days up to 70 days before finally being discovered in a body of water, and no connection, except it all looks the same. And their bodies do seem to get grouped together in about 4 or 5, and then the killers seem to move on to a new area. So it is quite interesting. Austin police are not happy about this development. They are not happy that people are discussing it, talking about it, and they're doing everything they can to stop any more new bodies from being found, in Rainy Lake or Lady Bird. I'm not Rainy Lake, but Lady Bird Johnson Lake. But the documentary is on Netflix right now. It is very good, and it's definitely worth watching, because it can really make you stop and think. Everybody else is connecting through the internet. Everybody else seems to find people, alike, that like the same types of things, and get together and have conversations. So why wouldn't serial killers find one another and begin to form a community online? It's pretty chilling. Y'all have a good evening, and I will be back.